Hello, I'm M.K. Davis. We'll talk a little bit about frame 352 of the Patterson film, Patterson Bigfoot film. That frame, if you get a good one, if you get a good copy, is the single most clearest frame from the film. And she's looking back at the camera, and is probably the most famous frame of all. And there's a lot of really bad copies of it, but it's slowly being replaced by these really good copies that came from Patricia through me. And it's now kind of permeating the Bigfoot world, and as rightly it should. Some of the other copies were altered, and they were altered for the purpose of copyrighting that frame, which it was the only frame that was not copyrighted. It was in public domain because it was published in a newspaper. So that money, what was the most money-making frame, but it wasn't making anybody any money. And so they took a copy of it and altered it. And they altered it to the point where it no longer represented the film, and then they used it to try to make money. And so, but all that's been sorted out. And that's what happens when you get people that are either inept or dishonest, or maybe both, handling the film, which they never were supposed to. But anyway, enough of that. I'm going to go with this one right here. If you look, let me see if I can get it to come up. Well, properties. TIFF file. Type of file. TIFF. Tag to image format. 51 megs. Uncompressed. The best. There was one that was scanned at a higher density, but it was saved as a GIF, not a TIFF. And that in itself lowered it. Excuse me. I've got the hiccups. Kind of one of those after effects of taking a Ozempic shot, which I don't take it to lose weight. I take it for sugar control. But it does me this way. And I'll stop in a minute. All right. Well, you know, what a fantastic film. You see the sprocket holes. This is in a 4x5 sheet of celluloid. Some of the scene even bleeds over to the side where there was some chemical silver halide spilled over. All right. Now let me just take this copy it to my imaging program. I'll show you a few things that you can do with it. Let's take a good look at the surface of the subject. This is what I call, it's got two different tones, but you can hardly tell because they all are only a little different from one another. And I want to show you something you can do to cause those two tones to diverge. All right. Let's go back up a little bit. I've got soft edge on this at 20. And we'll just kind of, I'm going to hiccup and mess this up. But I'm not going to stop because of hiccups. Oh. It's causing me some grief. Uh-oh. All right. Kind of lasso it. Now, to make those two tones diverge, I'm going to pump some color in. It's called false color. That's the way we did it in the space photos, so we can make these different tones diverge from one another and make them easier to see. Now, what I'll do, I'll start out with red. I'll pump a little red in. Now you see it changing. Then I'll pump a little green. What that's going to do is make it yellow. And when the yellow shows up, you're going to see the divergence. Now, what can you see on here that you could not see then? Let me merge it. You see that there's skin right here. There's bare places right here. Bare places right in here. It's very little hair on the breasts except between them right there. You can see a little bit. All this is skin. There's scars. And you see the fingernails of the fingers that are curled up right there. I do apologize for this hiccups. It's not a funny thing because it's extreme. Now you can see, the tones on the subject itself much better. It's like somebody shined a stage light on it or something where you can just lit her up. That's not the case, but you'll notice that the Sandbar itself, while this is a very good, well-balanced photo, it's a little overexposed. And the sand itself has oil in it. And it's shale oil. It's got a luster or sheen to it. And it tends to expose before the rest, like the background or the log or even her. So it ends up being a little on the overexposed side. As a matter of fact, one of the people who claimed to be the man in the suit made the comment that he walked across the white sand. And there's no white sand down there. I'll lower the exposure. To where we're going to get a better exposure of the sandbar. It's such an extraordinary photo anyway, because it shows detail like most of the 352s. This stump right here has no surface detail on it, but in this one it does. Fantastic. Now, other places in the film you can see when she steps right here, she actually steps onto this stick and kicks up some sand. And this is really broken ground. It's not smooth. And she walks this direction until upon a little knoll, a little spit, a hump of sand, you see a footprint right here. Right there. And there's your little, what they call a metatarsal break. I'm not sure about that, but that's what they call it. There's also another footprint. Let me find it here. If I can find it. There it is, right there. That's it right there. This is another spit, or I call it a spit, a lump of sand. It's a rough terrain, and there's this red dog print on it. But to make the next one, it had to step off that little high spot. Barely touched right there, and then that's all it did. But meanwhile, I'm going to go see what's on here. All right. Pretty good size footprint. Object, merge. There it is. Is that a Sasquatch footprint? I think it's likely, since there's a Sasquatch right there. But it wasn't done at the time this picture was taken. It was done previously. Yep. And then you have this right here. A handprint. There's actually two handprints on the log, and they're in the same type of substance, white, and that's not white sand. They had construction going on down here, and they had piles of lime, quicklime, that they used. They mixed it with the soil, with the sand, to make it harder where they could get 18-wheelers down there. Now, here's the other one. It's much fainter. But also much larger. You can see the fingers, even down here on this broken part of the wood. That's just the entire thing right here. It's how big it is. Now, what else do I have on this wonderful piece of... Well, we can always go look at the dog track. Let's just take a good look at it. You'll see that there's another little touch of red right here where the dog made a step off this high spot. Was pulled back by the dog's leash. But you can see it. I'll just what I'll do is hue and saturation, and what that's designed for is to restore color to a faded photograph. So I'll just do a little saturation there and you'll pick it up a lot better. See how red that is now? It didn't add color to it, it just intensified it. And there you are right there, the second one. There, you can see it a little better now. That's just where the dog touched. If you can imagine the dog coming in the lower left from off the frame and then sticking its right foot right here, and then extending the left foot out, touching, and being pulled back off the frame. This right here is a piece of equipment track. the frame just caught one tire. But I can show it to you elsewhere. Well, let me just do this. Alright, tire track animation. Look how much comes up. Let's just take a look at this one. Now you see where something has pushed this log out of place. See where these two blue arrows are pointing? It used to sit right there, and it came across to do that, right across this soft stuff, and made a track. Made two tracks, as a matter of fact. There you go. So, how much activity, human activity, had taken place that this film was able to pick up, and how much the Sasquatch's activities. Big tracks out there on the a smaller track, and then you can see two handprints, one small and one much larger. There you can see, it's well, right here you can see that you can't see much about it. Oh, she's blocking it anyway. But there's not a lot of detail in this particular copy. But there is back here lots of detail. When you wet this stuff, it gets way darker, much darker. This right here likely came, you see the Sasquatch print, you see the dog print, and another little red spot. Over here is horse prints. There's two of them, and they backed it off. Why? Because there's a Sasquatch right there. That's pretty close. Most of the stuff out there for 352 have been cropped right where this little ballpoint pen mark is. I have what they call pen perusal. Let me go to that. I think the pen perusals, I'm going to try it in this one, but I think that it's on an older hard drive. I'm not looking for any of that. Let's go down here and look on this one. Not there. E drive is probably where it's at. Pen perusal, there we go, filling in. See where that ballpoint pen mark had been used in other places. Somebody perusing the film using ballpoint pen, which is, that's what I'm saying. This was no professionals that did this. And there's some more right there on the log. See, it's a little bit of a fingerprint. See where this one is. Look at that. That's red. You can see the outline right there of a palm print or a fingerprint. Somebody handling it with the ink on their hands. Why do you suppose they'd be doing that? Now this right here was on a platen image, which is a paper image. The ones that they were originally selling at the live events. Now this is really interesting right here because you can see it very well. This is a palm print. Sometimes they stick their, get ink all over them and lay their hand down on the picture. And this one's pretty good. You can actually see some surface detail on that stump. There's some more right here, more red stuff right there. See it? Now what do you suppose they were doing with that? Well, I tell you, it looked a lot like they were trying to help fall come a little early. Let's see here. Here's some more. There's one right there. Touched it and moved it. There's the old paw print. And this is much less quality. Look at the difference between this one and this one. Ain't much to it. Frame 350. Same one I've already shown. Again. Make sure I don't miss anything. There's some more of this palm print type stuff. There's a lot more of it. Let me go down to here. I'm not sure what I was pointing to right there. I don't remember. Oh my gosh, it looks like a set of tracks, don't it? A little squiggly line right here. Yeah, I think that is. That's what that is. It's in that wet stuff. It's much darker. All right. That's a filtered image showing that little pin marks. I'm not going to go too much further. What I'm going to do is get this. I think I've done it before, but I'm going to do it again. I'm going to put the link to where you can download this full 51 meg frame, and you find all these things yourself. But I'm going to show you this right here before I do this right here. Now let me go. No, I should have done it this way. Let that fill in. All right, there's this red hole, which has been a problem. And she's been down to this red hole, and they were able to start filming and catch her going back, kind of making an escape. The dog goes down to the red hole. He comes back with that stuff on his paw. And it's just right here that you see it. They don't show the red hole, but it's just off to the left just a little bit. Just out of view. So that's why you get a paw print from a dog that's red. And it's not maple. That's not maple, and I'll show you why it's not maple. Let's see. I need all right, let's see here. That's not it. To get an explanation, you have to go check everything against the film itself. There we go. Now this is the hole is right here. Right there on just all out of the field of view. You go slide right down here to the hole. Okay. Now it's walking away, and you go, well, what happened? I'll catch back up to it right here. Let me just put it in my program. All right. This is just contrast boosts, but you see that all of this is red spatter. I've got a better version of that. I'm going to look to find it. Because when you say something, you need to be able to back it up with the best. That's a little better. See this red spatter? The red holes right off here, just off the field of view. She's walking away from it, and there's red spatter. And this was roughly 5 years before they started coloring hydraulic oil red. So it can't be hydraulic oil. Somebody said that one time. I looked to all the different other things it could be. This is not maple juice, my friends, and that hole's not full of maple juice. Look how you see all 5 toes right there. And I've also got some platen images. I think they're on E drive. Let's see. There we go, I think right there. These are faded yellow. But they got a wider field of view. Your spatter is right here, and there's your red hole. But everything's faded yellow because that's the way paper fades. You can correct it, but what I'm showing is, perspective. This is the red stuff down in the hole. Dog's prints over here, and your spatter is right there. Now let's just take a look at the spatter. You see it right there. There we go. Copy it. There's your spatter. There's the subject. And this is the red hole. Now, I'm going to stop right there. I'm not going to go any further. I'll pick it up some other subject later. My assessment of the film is that it's genuine, and it's based upon a lot of findings on the film. So when someone, and he says, anybody, I don't care who it is, it comes up and says, well, I was the man in the suit, or I was this, or I was that. We found this, and it doesn't carry much weight with me. They haven't explained this. They think they have. Oh, that was maple leaves. I'm sorry, but that's not maple leaves. And there was a lot of it. There's other anatomical things on her that I'm going to get back into that just plainly disprove that it's a suit. Does it mean that they didn't do hanky-panky with this film? No, it doesn't mean that. It was very poorly handled. And if you get into the nuts and bolts of it, where you know a little background, and you know any background or some background, you realize that it wasn't necessarily happy times down at Bluff Creek. And they just simply did not want that known. You got people working hard against this film, but they can't do anything to it now. There's too many good copies, too many really fabulous versions to see and look at. And when you can see and actually see and tell what you're looking at, there's nothing they can do about it. They waited too late. I thank you for your time.